Alrighty guys, what's going on? It's Bill here and welcome to my Money in the Bank 2025 full show review. Money in the Bank 2025 is in the books and there's a lot to talk about when it comes down to the show, mainly because of the matches that we saw and of course about that ending that we saw as well. So we'll get into that as well. We're going to go over everything match by match. I'm going to be telling you guys what I liked, what I did not like, and ultimately where I think WWE can go from here after everything that transpired at Money in the Bank 2025. So stay tuned for all of that. Let me know your thoughts about Money in the Bank 2025 down in the comment section below. While you're also there, why don't you guys hit that subscribe button and support the channel, like the video if you guys really do like it. And honestly, when you guys hit that thumbs up button, it allows the video to get pushed out there more so that we can continue to grow as we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So thank you guys so much for all the love and support. Let's talk about Money in the Bank 2025. Let's start talking about the women's Money in the Bank ladder matches. We have Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, Naomi, Julia, Stephanie Valkyria, and Roxanne Perez, all vying for that coveted briefcase. Going into this women's Money in the Bank ladder match, everybody and their mother was thinking that this was probably going to be one of, if not the greatest women's Money in the Bank ladder matches of all time. Not mainly just because of the fact of the entire stat field that we had with every single woman that is a part of this, but when it comes down to the grand scheme of things, this just had the making of being one of the greatest ladder matches for the women's Money in the Bank in its history. And you could literally make an argument for any one of these 6 women to win the match, and it would honestly make a ton of sense. Now, when it comes down to the actual in-ring aspect of this match, it really wasn't all that groundbreaking considering the opponents that we had in this match. But in terms of the finish, and in terms of who we got as the eventual winner, and who is truly Miss Money in the Bank, that was 100% the right call, and I absolutely love that Naomi is Miss Money in the Bank. Like I said earlier, you could pretty much make an argument for any one of these 6 women to be Miss Money in the Bank, but at the end of the day, I fully believed, along with many other people fully believed, that Naomi was definitely the best possible choice to become Miss Money in the Bank because of the work that she has done ever since this new character has come about her, and at the end of the day, the whole proceed with caution stuff just makes sense for the Women's Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, when I talk about the fact that this match really wasn't all that groundbreaking in terms of an in-ring perspective, I'm not gonna, completely downgrade this match just based off that, mainly because at the end of the day, 4 out of the 6 women in this Money in the Bank ladder match, including Rhea Ripley, which is just shocking to say the least, never competed in a ladder match before, that being Julia, Stephanie, and Roxanne Perez along with Rhea Ripley. Alexa Bliss and Naomi were really the only 2 women in this match that actually had a ladder match experience, and Naomi, she tied for the most with 5 appearances in a Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So she definitely had the most experience going into this thing, along with Alexa Bliss winning their briefcase 7 years ago. But Rhea Ripley and the other 3, the newcomers of the WWE, and Julia, Stephanie, and Roxanne, never experienced a ladder match before. So when it comes down to the in-ring aspect, you could kind of see a little bit of the jitters that they had when going into a match like this. And at the end of the day, I truly do not blame them, because ladder matches are truly one of the more brutal matches in the world of professional wrestling. And when it comes down to those ladders, they're not made out of rubber. They hurt. So trust me when I say the spots that they had in this match, though they were good, definitely there were a little bit of hesitation towards these things, and it made all the sense in the world. That's the reason why. We had a cool spot in this match when it came down to a ladder being in the middle of the ring and then 2 other ladders bridged between a rung event and the second turnbuckle, where we saw both Alexa Bliss and Roxanne Perez all do a code red / pop rocks onto the ladder bridge, and that was very well executed. We even saw Stephanie Valkyria do the devil's kiss to Rhea Ripley on the ladder bridge, which was honestly a very cool spot. Shout out to the crowd to, do the ah. Shout out to Booker T That was honestly a very cool spot as well. All of these women really did look great in this match. Rhea Ripley, LaDonna, as ever. Julia had a great performance for this being in her first ladder match. Stephanie Vaquer, who honestly was competing earlier on in the day with the Worlds Collide event, she did very well for herself as well. And, you know, everybody had their spots and everybody contributed to this match in a very awesome manner. And then the ending sequence when we saw Alexa Bliss and Rhea Ripley all try to climb up the ladder to try to get that briefcase, but then all of a sudden we see Naomi herself pushing the ladder, and those two went flying off the ladder down to the floor, and Naomi was the only woman left standing. She climbs up, she grabs the briefcase, and now Naomi is Miss Money in the Bank. Where do things go from here? I have the perfect explanation for you. Naomi is Miss Money in the Bank. We have Queen of the Ring coming up. Queen of the Ring stuff starts on Monday. When it comes down to everything, I want to see Jade Cargill from Friday Night SmackDown win the Queen of the Ring tournament. Once that happens and she faces Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam, then we see Jade Cargill win the SmackDown Women's Championship, the Women's Championship of that brand, and lo and behold, we see Proceed with Caution. We see Naomi come into the fold. She cashes in on Jade Cargill, taking the championship away from Jade, and Naomi is now the women's champion over on Friday Night SmackDown. I want Naomi to not only just successfully cash in, because I think that's just well deserved to have her be successfully cashed in, but at the end of the day, taking the championship away from Jade Cargill while Bianca is still away could be some really good storytelling. And then at the end of the day, we have the end goal here of doing the big three triple threat of Bianca, Jade, and Naomi for the Women's Championship of Friday Night SmackDown. It just makes all the sense in the world. Whenever you want to do that. But Naomi has to win the championship first, and taking it from Jade Cargill is the best way to go. So hopefully that happens. Even if it doesn't, I'm excited to see where WWE goes with Naomi as Miss Money in the Bank. Regardless, as long as she cashes in successfully, that's all that matters to me. But now, let's move on to the next matchup, which was Dominik Mysterio defending his Intercontinental Championship against AAA standout Octagon Jr. Now, just to preface everybody, the fact of the matter is this match was made hours before the event even happened. So this match was just purely put to be the fifth match on the card. Let's just get that out of the way right here, right now. There hasn't been really any build to this whatsoever. Dominik Mysterio really hasn't done much with the Intercontinental Championship since winning it back at WrestleMania, which is honestly a shame after everything that we've gone through to get this kid a championship around his waist, and everything happened at the Worlds Collide event that led up to this match, and honestly, they kind of chose the wrong AAA standout to be a part of this match. Because earlier on in the day, with Worlds Collide, Mr. Iguana caught the world by storm, and everybody loved Mr. Iguana. The man is in iguana face paint, and he wrestles with a stuffed iguana. It's just absolutely perfect. It fits WWE to a T, and Mr. Iguana was the MVP of everybody through the rest of the day with the Worlds Collide event. It was absolutely fantastic. But Octagon Jr. was in this match against Dominik Mysterio, and though it wasn't bad, the match was like 5 minutes. It really didn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. In my eyes, you really could have just kept Money in the Bank at 4 matches, and honestly, I don't think anybody really would have cared. I mean, yeah, sure, people did care that we didn't have the traditional 5-match pay-per-view that we normally have with the Triple H era, but this match really didn't feel like anything special. And honestly, even though Octagon Jr. did very well in the 5 minutes that WWE gave him, he competed better in the AAA match that he had earlier on in the day. So, look, all that matters is that Dominik Mysterio retained the Intercontinental Championship, and what matters now is that WWE needs to actually put somebody in the ring with Dominik Mysterio and actually do some sort of story with Dominik Mysterio as the Intercontinental Champion, because if you're just going to keep doing this when it comes down to his Intercontinental title reign, it's not really going to mean all that much, and I don't like that, mainly because Dominik Mysterio has worked hard to get to where he is, and yeah, sure, Liv Morgan was the one to ultimately cause Octagon Jr. in the end, but unless we are going to continue to see more AAA talent try to go after Dominik Mysterio and maybe even see Dom defend that title at Triple Mania, I don't know really where the end goal of all of this is. So hopefully, down the line, we see something more for Dominik Mysterio and that Intercontinental Championship. It just really wasn't all that special. And quite honestly, I don't even really think it should have been on the card. So, look, I love Dominik Mysterio. I love Liv Morgan. I love them together. I love Liv Dom. I think Dom as the Intercontinental Champion is great. But we need something more for Dom, not this. So, we'll see in due time. Up next, we have the Women's Intercontinental Championship on the line as the champion going in, Lyra Valkyria taking on the challenger in Becky Lynch, where if Becky lost, she would never challenge Lyra for the championship for as long as Lyra's the champion, and then if Lyra lost, she had to raise Becky's hand in victory and show that she is the better woman. So yes, that was the stipulation going into this match, and when it comes down to a stipulation like what we see of somebody challenging for a championship, and if they don't win, they are never going to challenge for that championship again for as long as that person is the champion. You kind of already see the writing on the wall where things are going with that. So yes, Becky Lynch did win the Women's Intercontinental Championship, and I understand. Becky Hogan, am I right? No, I just don't agree with the whole blank Hogan type of allegations that many people just throw around on social media nowadays, mainly because they just don't like seeing the other person lose. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But regardless, I think this is honestly going to be a very good thing for the feud of Lyra and Becky, because at the end of the day, because of everything that happened for the ending sequence of this match, we're going to continue to get another match between these girls. And that's great because these two have amazing in-ring chemistry with each other. Lyra Valkyria, whether you like Becky Lynch or whether you don't, at the end of the day, has come out looking better in this feud just because of the fact that she's been feuding with Becky Lynch over this Women's Intercontinental Championship. And Lyra was an amazing first ever Women's Intercontinental Champion. And I know the whole thing of Becky Lynch and any established superstar getting a mid-card title is just only going to gain prestige for that title. While that argument does still stand in some instances, the fact of the matter is we are still going to be seeing a high-profile spot for this Women's Intercontinental Championship, and that's way better than what I can say what's happening over on Friday Night SmackDown and now Women's United States Championship scene. We might have something cooking between Zelina and Julia, but that still remains to be seen. We really haven't started that stuff yet. So, like I said, that remains to be seen. But the Women's Intercontinental Championship right now is looking far and away better than what's happening over on Friday nights. The one thing I'm still questioning on when it comes down to this Women's Intercontinental Championship picture is Bayley. We have no idea where Bayley is. I mean, we have to find Bayley, because at the end of the day, even though I do believe that she is still in good standings with the WWE, the fact of the matter is she's just nowhere to be found. I mean, we all thought that Bayley could have shown up at Backlash to help, just Lyra have the retention of her championship. Bayley was nowhere to be found. We saw what happened in the Backlash match. Very good stuff there. Then we all thought that even though with everything that was happening for Money in the Bank and the stipulations added, I mean, we could have seen Bayley come back, ultimately cost Becky Lynch the championship, which ultimately didn't happen. Or Bayley can come back, try to cost Becky Lynch the championship, but inadvertently actually cost Lyra the title. So, I mean, that didn't happen either, but I mean, the possibilities were there. And none of that happened. I mean, we saw the interactions with the manhandle slams and then the roll-ups here and there, and then even the holding up the tights for Becky Lynch on Lyra Valkyria. So that to me just screams that we're not done just yet with this, but Bayley is still a key factor within this feud, and the fact that Bayley is still nowhere to be found, it kind of concerns me a little bit, because, like, where the heck is Bayley, and where is Bayley going to be able to fit in all of this? Now, the post-match shenanigans with the whole stipulation aspect and the whole stipulation in place, that was probably one of the best things about this entire situation, because Becky Lynch is so good at being a bad guy, and at the end of the day, Lyra is just so good at, with the facial expressions and her just, at the end of the day, these two just really work well together, okay? So, the ending stipulation was that Lyra had to raise Becky Lynch's hand in victory because she won the Women's Intercontinental title. She did it. She did it reluctantly, but she did it. And then Becky was like, no, no, no. I want you to do it again, but I want you to twirl me. I want you to go all the way around the ring and do it. And Lyra did it. She did it. But then Becky said, no, 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 we're not done yet. I want you to put this championship around my waist. Put this championship around my waist and then raise my hand, okay? So she puts the championship around her waist and then she German suplexed her, which was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. And at the end of the day, it just shows that Lyra is still having that kind of side about her to where she's just not going to take any of Becky's BS, and she is still going to be coming after that Women's Intercontinental Championship. At the end of the day, Becky Lynch still is walking out the Women's Intercontinental Champion. She just won the thing. But Lyra did not look bad in any way, shape, or form with this entire situation. Lyra is going to be back for that Women's Intercontinental Championship, and I think we could possibly see that happen at the All-Women's pay-per-view at Evolution. So, we'll see in due time, but great stuff there. Becky and Lyra did fantastic business. Now let's talk about the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, as we had LA Knight, Penta, Andrade, El Grande Americano, Solo Sikoa, and Seth freaking Rollins. Immediately right out of the gate, before we even get into anything that happened from an in-ring perspective, Seth Rollins winning the men's Money in the Bank ladder match was honestly a very good decision, and here's why. To me, when it comes down to this hodgepodge field that we had here, it's a very random group of individuals, but in terms of just the in-ring aspect and in terms of just the stories going into where we can have the men's Money in the Bank briefcase actually makes sense for storytelling purposes, LA Knight and Seth Rollins were literally the only two that made sense to come out on top and be Mr. Money in the Bank in the first place. And yes, I know WWE has done LA Knight dirty 3 years in a row at this point, but when you just take a look at the grand scheme of things, Seth Rollins was easily the best choice that you had for men's Money in the Bank this year. His whole entire stable with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker is all about the future, and Seth Rollins is trying to groom the future of this business and just ensure that the future of this business is still intact. And with Seth Rollins as the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, he ensures that the future of the World Championship is in his hands. And at the end of the day, that is a very powerful tool to have for Seth Rollins and this entire faction along with Paul Heyman. I get it, he's a main eventer when all of these guys, you can probably make an exception for Solo because he's been in a main event title picture before. Seth Rollins is a main event talent. Seth Rollins is an established guy already. We could have had the Money in the Bank briefcase be on somebody that can go to the upper echelon and become a main eventer because of this. It just didn't make sense for anything that was really going to be happening, especially with Seth Rollins and this group that's running rampant on Raw. I picked LA Knight to win this thing, and honestly, I really should have just seen the Seth Rollins stuff coming because Seth Rollins was easily the favorite going into this Money in the Bank ladder match, and I should have just went with my gut and just chose Seth Rollins. But in terms of just where LA Knight goes from here, this might be hard for you guys to hear, but this man is going to be a mid-carder for life, and I feel like that is just going to be a terrible situation for him to be in. I said this on social media earlier on, that unless this man flips a switch and, turns heel or something like that, the man is going to be stuck in the mid-card title scene for as long as he has left in the world of WWE. I mean, let's just take a look at the facts here. We wanted this guy to win the Money in the Bank briefcase for the past 3 years straight, including 2025, okay? That hasn't happened. And I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think WWE really does have a plan for LA Knight to be a part of the main event scene. And that sucks to say because I like LA Knight. I think LA Knight is fantastic. But the stuff is getting old on me. And honestly, LA Knight to me is a better heel than he is a babyface. And yes, he is a very good babyface. So I just want to see something more from LA Knight at this point instead of just saying the word yeah. So, excuse me if that's, something bad to say. In terms of the other 4 participants in this thing, Andrade Though a lot of people were just very upset that Carmelo Hayes did not advance when Andrade did in their qualifying match in the triple threat with Jacob Fatu, Andrade was honestly the glue that kind of held everybody together here. I mean, Andrade was a big proponent and a big force within this thing to really just create high spots and make high spots really matter in this Money in the Bank ladder match. El Grande Americano, he had probably one of the closest false finishes to a ladder match that I have personally ever seen. I mean, we saw El Grande bridge a ladder onto the ring post. He runs up this thing, and then he stands on the turnbuckle post. He leans the ladder onto another ladder to headbutt Penta, who was about to grab the briefcase, but Penta got hit with the metal plate that is in El Grande Americano's mask. So it was just an insane spot, and honestly one of the greatest false finishes to a ladder match that I have ever seen. So Sikoa also has some spots in this match that were very well done, and honestly, when it looked like he was about to grab the Money in the Bank briefcase, we saw probably one of the greatest turns that could have ever happened within the Bloodline saga, and that was Jacob Fatu. But before I go into the whole thing with Jacob Fatu, this Money in the Bank ladder match just kind of turned into like some sort of Bloodline rules type of thing, because when Seth Rollins was down and out, he called his boys Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker to come out there to wreak havoc. They absolutely did. Then all of a sudden, so Sikoa, he called his boys down there, so he saw Jacob Fatu and JC Mateo come down to wreak havoc, and they did. So everybody that actually had friends within this thing came on down just to wreak havoc, and they absolutely did. So this is just absolutely insane. And during that whole wreaking havoc, we saw the turn of Jacob Fatu on Solo Sikoa. Jacob Fatu finally said the words, "I hate you, Solo." And just when you thought that Solo Sikoa was going to grab that Money in the Bank briefcase, the turn happens. And Jacob Fatu, he was already beloved, but now he is beloved now more than he ever was before. The man hit a Uranagi through a ladder bridge that was between the ring apron and the barricade, and that had to suck for Solo because Solo landed hard on that ladder, and it just seemed like it sucked. But regardless, that was very well executed, and Jacob Fatu, he's pretty much out of the bloodline after everything that we heard him over here from the Friday Night SmackDown before. So everything that is lining up for Jacob versus Solo for the United States Championship at SummerSlam, that just makes all the sense in the world. And yeah, I mean, that's where those two boys are going to be going. And it makes all the sense in the world. But when it comes down to the actual finish of this thing, of how Seth Rollins grabbed the Money in the Bank briefcase, this was just so perfectly well done, okay? We see LA Knight climb up that ladder, and it looks like he's about to do it, right? He's finally going to grab the brass ring. He's finally going to grab the Money in the Bank briefcase. He doesn't. Seth Rollins comes in, he grabs him down, then he just smashes him into the ladder, curb stomp, and then we see Seth Rollins climb up the ladder, grab the briefcase, and he's celebrating with his boys in Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, and Paul Heyman. And there you go. Seth Rollins is now Mr. Money in the Bank. The future is in his hands now, and he could cash in as early as tonight on Monday Night Raw. I am recording this on Sunday, but you guys are seeing this on a Monday. So that's why I'm saying tonight. So we'll see in due time if that happens. If that happens, please comment down on the video saying that I was right, because I may just be pulling that, out of thin air. But who knows? It really could happen tonight, so we'll see in due time. But Seth Rollins definitely was a great winner to be Mr. Money in the Bank this year for 2025. Even though he has already done it before, the man is trying to ensure the future. And ensuring the future is being Mr. Money in the Bank, ensuring your shot at the future of the World Heavyweight Championship. Just makes all the sense in the world. So I love this. Seth Rollins as Mr. Money in the Bank. The match was fantastic. Honestly, this should have been the main event. instead of the main event that we actually got, which was, of course, this tag team match between the undisputed WWE Champion John Cena and Logan Paul, taking on the World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso and the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. I was not a fan of this being the main event of Money in the Bank 2025, mainly because I just personally feel when it comes down to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, or just how, honestly, these shows are structured, you start with the Money in the Bank ladder match, and you end with the Money in the Bank ladder match. So I really felt like the men's Money in the Bank really should have main evented the show, but considering what we got at that ending, I understand why they did the main event as the main event. So there you go. But we'll talk about that whole situation in a matter of moments. But when it comes down to everything that happened in this match from an in-ring perspective, this was honestly very well done. I mean, especially the last 10 minutes of everything. We saw Jey Uso just basically get the brunt of the beatdown here until we saw when Cody Rhodes came in for the hot tag, when we see John Cena and Logan Paul arguing back and forth, which I saw coming from a mile away. Jey Uso was just crawling to his corner to tag in Cody Rhodes while John Cena and Logan Paul were arguing. And then we just see John Cena scream, "Oh no," and then we just see the tag happen, and Cody Rhodes runs wild on both Logan Paul and John Cena. I called the situation that was going down between Logan Paul and John Cena from a mile away, mainly because of the egos that these two men have. I mean, Logan Paul is Logan Paul. The guy has an ego. We all know this. It's not rocket science at this point. And John Cena, with this new heel gimmick that he's got going on right now, he was trying to teach Logan Paul something, but those two, like I said, the egos just don't mix. And when you're going up against guys like Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes, you're kind of in trouble there. So yeah, the egos were definitely a factor within this tag team match, and it made all the sense in the world as to the reasons why. The announce tables were used in this tag team match. We saw Jey Uso spear John Cena on the announce table. It didn't break, but it definitely felt, it definitely hurt. It definitely hurt John when that happened. We even saw Logan Paul do a springboard moonsault to Jey Uso through the table, and the table actually did break in that spot, so that was very well executed there. The ending sequence, though, is just absolutely insane, and we're going to be talking about it now. John Cena is about to hit Cody Rhodes with the undisputed WWE Championship. He ultimately does, but when it comes down to that, when John Cena was about to celebrate, we see a hooded figure come out of the crowd and spear John Cena. As soon as I saw the spear, I immediately thought of Braun Breaker. I thought we were going to be seeing a cash-in happen within this tag team match, and then all of a sudden we see the ski mask come off, and it's none other than freaking R-Truth. The pop was huge for R-Truth. Throughout the entire night, we were hearing, "We want truth" chants, "We want truth, we want truth." And at the end of the day, we definitely did get R-Truth. R-Truth is back in the world of WWE. And if you guys have not seen the story about how everything has kind of transpired on R-Truth's comeback to WWE, it's been absolutely wild to read all the stuff that's been coming out. The interference allowed Cody Rhodes to hit the crossroads 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso won this tag team match. But yeah, R-Truth is back. And R-Truth is really the deciding factor in all of it, which is incredible to say. Because R-Truth being back in the world of WWE is just fantastic. I want to let everybody aware that this was not a work. Okay? This is not a work. I understand now a ton of people are just trying to be on social media, just trying to be in YouTube comments saying, "Man, you got worked, kid. Stop, trying to actually say that it's not a work." It's not a work, guys. He was literally released from his contract, and then all of a sudden when, Nick Khan came into the play, he just basically took things over, and he got R-Truth to re-sign with the company. So at the end of the day, even though it did take like 72 hours in order for this to happen, R-Truth is back, and it's all thanks to Nick Khan, because Nick Khan actually did see and did hear the fan backlash, and because of that, R-Truth is back in the company. So don't let what Triple H said in the press conference fool you. This was not a part of the show whatsoever, even though he said flat out that it was, because it wasn't. The crowd had their voices heard, And at the end of the day, Nick Khan did the right thing and rehired R-Truth after being wrongfully, released from his contract. Not released, but let go because of the contract expiring. At the end of the day, it was wrong and it should have never happened in the first place. Because now I just gotta ask, what's next? Honestly, I really don't know. We are kind of seeing a rebranding of R-Truth. He's not even really being called R-Truth. He's being called Ron Killings, former NWA World Champion Ron Killings. So at the end of the day, we don't know what the status of R-Truth really is, even though we know that he is just back in the world of WWE. But in terms of what Cody Rhodes is doing, Cody Rhodes, I feel, is winning the King of the Ring tournament. I feel like he is winning the King of the Ring tournament, and that just screams that we are going to be seeing John Cena versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam for the undisputed WWE Championship. But what happens before that, who knows? Maybe at Saturday night's main event, throughout that entire Evolution weekend, we see John Cena versus R-Truth again, but this time a different R-Truth, Ron Killings version of R-Truth, and like a more serious version of him instead of the happy-go-lucky childhood hero type of R-Truth that we saw at the last Saturday night's main event when they faced off. Because I truly believe that at the end of the day, with this new contract that we don't know the terms of at the end of the day, but regardless of how things are working out now that R-Truth is back in the WWE hopefully is going to give R-Truth one final run, and it's going to be a more serious type of run for R-Truth, for Ron Killings, as he is most likely just ending his career. This is going to be probably his final contract within his professional wrestling career and lifetime, so giving him one final run just makes all the sense in the world. But for the Night of Champions' sake, with Night of Champions being in Saudi Arabia, I truly do believe that we are going to be seeing John Cena versus Logan Paul for that undisputed WWE Championship when John Cena goes to Saudi Arabia for their final time. I knew that at some point we were going to be seeing John Cena versus Logan Paul. I should have saw that coming, that would happen in the last time that we're going to be seeing John in Saudi Arabia. But I mean, look, it really was not out of the table seeing John Cena versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania, okay? It was just, there was just a lot of things going on during that time, okay? But we're going to be getting John Cena versus Logan Paul, most likely for Night of Champions. And I think that's honestly perfectly very much well okay, because it makes sense after everything that happened within this tag team match. Either way, however this thing goes between these four men and where Jey Uso goes from here after he has to defend that World Championship tonight on Monday Night Raw against Gunther, and where the World Heavyweight Championship goes from there, that's a whole other different story. But when it comes down to those other three, and Logan Paul, John Cena, and Cody Rhodes, I mean, they're all going to still be tied with each other. Logan, John, Night of Champions, John, Cody, SummerSlam, R-Truth, John, possibly at the Saturday night's main event during Evolution weekend. I mean, there's so much to dive into there, but we'll see in due time how it all shapes out. The tag team match, though, was fun, and I absolutely loved that being the main event, especially with R-Truth coming back into the fold. I love seeing R-Truth back into WWE. This Money in the Bank PLE was definitely better than last year's. At the end of the day, we saw a fantastic card from top to bottom. Great matches all around. And honestly, just seeing R-Truth come back to the WWE after everything that's happened from this last week was just a cherry on top. Fantastic WWE PLE, but I want to hear your thoughts. So that's it about Money in the Bank, guys. Let me know your thoughts about Money in the Bank down in the comment section below. Enjoy Monday Night Raw tonight. Will we still see Jey Uso as our World Heavyweight Champion? Could Seth Rollins cash in tonight? Could Gunther win the championship? Could Goldberg show up to possibly cost Gunther the World Heavyweight title? Who knows? But at the end of the day, enjoy Monday Night Raw, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Stay safe. God bless, and peace.